Jesse Marsch takes over Leeds United. A very impressive press conference with Leeds as they look ahead to face Leicester City. I'm not surprised. Jesse Marsch is a smart man, a smart manager. He knows what's at stake. And of course, they need a wake-up call, Leeds United, if they haven't woken up already, because they are staring just above the relegation zone. Heath Pierce, what do you think here as they visit Leicester City, who, by the way, took care of business against Burnley? Jamie Vardy woke up once again.
Yeah, I mean, Jamie Vardy's expected to be back in this one, which I think is going to be a huge challenge for Jesse Marsch. Unfortunately, when it comes to Jesse Marsch, it's like every American, I overthink every single thing they're about to do, as opposed to just treating them like a normal person in the game and just say, he knows what he's doing. Whether he plays a back three or a back four, I'm assuming he'll go with the back four. But it's just about small details. I think wholesale changes. He's starting to get most of his team back fit and healthy with Bamford back in training now. Obviously, I don't think he'll play in this one, but Phillips and Cooper as well coming back into the team. That is a positive sign for him for the coming weeks. However, you can't overlook this match where Jamie Vardy's going to be back in, and it's a lot of it's going to be about details of when you press, when you collapse, when you recover, because they haven't had that. And I think that's going to be the number one factor as to whether or not they can start to shore up their defense. That's conceded 4 in their last 3 games in a row. Now has
20 in February.
Yeah, 20 in February, has the worst, I think, goals against. I don't think it's goal difference. I think
ever.
It's goals against.
The worst in the Premier League ever.
Yeah. And so there's going to be certain details, and you can't tell me. Similarly, when I look back at what we just talked about with Man United, it's appalling to me when you put a plus 700 or 700 plus line against a team that's full of world-class players. When I look at Leeds, they were getting results before. They did know what they were doing before, yet somehow they've lost a little bit of their way. And so it comes down to that small details. It's not that they can't do it, they don't have the quality. It's about creating that structure again, which we know they didn't have. And so if Jesse Marsch can get in there and just with motivation do 2 or 3 things better, I think they can keep themselves in games. Obviously, Leicester City aren't in the best of form either, so there is an opportunity to get 3 points, if not a point out of this one.
I agree with Heath. I do think there's a good opportunity there for Jesse Marsch, and I just think that a new breath of fresh air will do this squad wonders. However, the way that I would approach sort of viewing a coach who's coming in and replacing Marcelo Bielsa, having seen it happen in Ligue 1, with Marseille, having seen what Galtier did at Lille as well, is it's always very risky when you inherit a squad from Marcelo Bielsa and they're absolutely torched after giving everything over a couple of years. And you don't want to have that sort of fatigued squad going into a relegation battle. And I think, it's going to be an uphill fight from the very start for Jesse Marsch. I think he's going to have to get some points on the board as quickly as possible to sort of alleviate some of those relegation fears, especially with some of the teams down there starting to pick up unexpected points. But, I think he's perhaps going to have to be less demanding than he would have been normally, in order to get the maximum out of his players on the pitch sort of between now and the end of the season. Really, all the mission can be at this moment in time is avoid relegation, get to the summer, get the players rested, and then, start to think about next season. And I think that, if Jesse Marsch tries to sort of install the same strong pressing tactics that we've seen from him at Salzburg and that he tried to implement at Leipzig, I think it's going to be tough at Leeds, solely because these players are just on their feet a lot of the time at the moment, given what they've, given of themselves over the last couple of years for Bielsa.
What I'll jump in and say, and I'm interested about his first press conference because he either had to answer a question about Ted Lasso or he brought up Ted Lasso. And he said, I think there's probably a stigma against American coaches due to the different culture of the sport in Europe. And I'm not sure Ted Lasso has helped. I haven't watched the show. I don't believe you, Jesse Marsch.
Come on.
But I get it. That's what he said.
Oh, Jesse.
I don't want to be happy and I'm not having fun, guys.
And then he went on to say that, how he is. He goes, he gives everything he has 100%. And if you believe it, you achieve it. I'm paraphrasing, but then he added, that kind of sounds like Ted Lasso. From what I've heard. Okay, Jesse, we know you've seen the show. So I do think the stigma does work against them a little bit. I know Chris Armas at Manchester United has been called Ted Lasso, and I know that having played with Chris Armas, he has the same type of vibes. Like he just believes in you as a player and believes in you as a teammate, and these are all positive things. So it to be used negatively kind of sucks, but you're only going to be judged on what you can do and how you help the team perform. And he has to get that defense sorted out. And I feel like that he has to work from back to front and I wonder, maybe a back four, but without Liam Cooper available, without Calvin Phillips available yet, and Patrick Bamford, who did very well last season to take his chances when they came, I think it's going to be difficult. Those guys are getting closer to coming back, but they're not there yet. And I really think from an attacking standpoint, can Rafinha find space between the lines? I mean, that's really going to make or break, I think, if Leeds can have a lot of success. We know that Leicester have a bit of a leaky defense, but when you got Jamie Vardy playing well, it's really, really, he's so streaky, you know, so it's going to be a tough one. And it's hard. I don't even want to make a bet on this one because I'm so emotionally tied to the success of Jesse Marsch, and I want him to do so well. But it'd be hard to go against Leicester at this particular moment, especially knowing where Leeds are. Is there a new manager bounce? Yes, I think that will be there, and I think playing zonal defense over man marking will make a difference. But without those three key players that I mentioned in the spine of the team, it's just going to be hard for him to really execute the way that I think that he wants to.
Well, historically speaking, Leeds are unbeaten in their last 5 away league games against Leicester, so that helps them. Although, to Jonathan Johnson's point, you know, this is post-Bielsa, and they're always, you know, rethinking those about their fatigue, etc. I agree with you, Jimmy. I think the zonal part is going to be a massive, you know, factor, because that old school thinking of man-to-man takes a hell of a lot out of you. And, you know, at the very least, when you don't have the ball, Leeds, you can do something. I will say this about Jesse Marsch and this stigma. You know, this is a different type of situation, and everybody needs to realize it. And obviously, you hope Leeds United players realize it. This is a manager that's managed in the Champions League, right? 2 teams, 2 good leagues in Europe, and now entering here. This is not just about, oh, he's American. This is a good manager, and everybody needs to remember that. The key thing for me will be something that he said in this press conference, which to me is the biggest highlight of them all, which is like, there are so many complex things that we need to think about with this team right now. All I'm trying to do right now is simplify it, simplify it for everybody. So my thinking is that he's going to do what JJ said at the beginning, which is like, just stay alive, just stay in the Premier League. Don't try and be sexy. Don't try whatever. Be forceful, go for every tackle, etc. It's not going to be easy, because when you look at that table, right, they're 2 games over Everton, who are in 17th, 1 game over Burnley, who are only 2 points under them. So they need to pick up points. So I know you don't want to make a bet because you're emotionally invested, Jimmy Conrad, but
I mean, Jamie Vardy to score first, plus 280. Jamie Vardy to score anytime, minus 133.
So you don't want to give me a result?
I'm hoping for a draw, but I actually think Leicester are one of those teams that I think when they get going and they start to buy into what they're about, and with Jamie Vardy healthy and you can finish those chances. I thought Harvey Barnes was fantastic as well. I think Leicester will probably do it, but that's my head. My heart's saying Leeds will get a draw.
All right, Heath.
I mean, I think this ends in a draw here. Jesse Marsch, we talk about the stigma, but if the team goes down, he failed.
But we mentioned it, Heath, a few weeks ago. Like, is he set up to be the fall guy here? Because he's entering he's not entering preseason. He's entering March.
He is entering March, but he's got enough games, and I'm sure he's been watching.
The eyes of March.
Yeah,
I'll get my call.
Yeah, please. The exits to your right. Yeah, I you know, it's just as simple as if he can do it's. I say it's simple. It's not simple. He's in a tough situation, but he took the job. He took the thing. You can't be the fall guy. You need to go in there and do the few things right that he thinks can turn around these results and just keep them up. That is literally it. Yeah. No one's asking you to do anything more than keep them up. So yeah, I'm going with the draw on this one.
Okay, JJ.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'm fancying a score draw as well. The one thing that I would add to this debate is this is a critical moment for American coaches in the Premier League, because if I'm not mistaken, the last one was Bob Bradley with Swansea, which didn't last long and didn't go particularly well.
Why are you bringing up old stuff?
Yeah,
no, but this
it could have been worse. It could have been worse.
Yeah, but this is a huge opportunity for him. I mean, honestly, I thought that Jesse Marsch would wait it out and see what options were available in the summer. I know that he was sort of on the Lyon shortlist to potentially replace Peter Bosz. Obviously, that won't be happening now. But, you know, when you're sort of talking about sort of like, you know, the Ted Lassoization of coaches coming to Europe now when they come from the US, especially coming to the Premier League, you know, I think we also have to bear in mind that because of the way that the last experience went with Bob Bradley, you know, there's a lot riding on this now.
Don't forget David Wagner at Huddersfield as well. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, and Wagner, but you know, I guess at least he got Huddersfield to the Premier League, which in itself was, you know, a fantastic achievement. So this, when we're talking about sort of him, you know, almost being set up to be the fall guy to fail, you know, there's also a lot to motivate Jesse Marsch going into this situation, and I wouldn't underestimate the power of that. You know, for him to sort of strike a chord with these players, you know, a siege mentality or what have you, and you know, perhaps get a result early doors. So for me, I'm going to try and look at this one positively. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw.
Well, so as long as they lose the second game, right, Jonathan Johnson. That's gonna be
Exactly. Well, you know what? Let's go for a Leeds win, and then they can,
exactly.
put their feet up the next week.